Alam mo sino natin kasama natin ngayon? Si Mark, ang ating special guest ngayon na mobile right now. What's up, Mark?
Hello. Paparada lang ako. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ayun.
Marco,
Nasa
Mark,
village lang naman ako. Parada lang.
Marco
Oo.
Narcos. Parang Narcos ang vibe natin ngayon, Sir Mark.
Nagkataon lang.
Good to see you folks, both Chris and Mark. If I could be the moderator lang today kasi kayong dalawang special friends natin. So habang nagde-drive si Mark, can I start with you, Chris, before we go to the issues? Marami tayong pag-usapan, Mark and Chris, pag-usapan natin yung trust rating ng work from Hague, team work from Hague. Sana sinama na lang si Robin Hood Padilla at saka si Harry Roque, no? Para alam din natin yung trust rating nila since wala rin naman silang ginagawa. But before we go to that and Marcos cabinet revamp, and habang nagsiset up si Mark for his safety, Chris, can we start with you? What did we learn from your I would say really heroic and courageous decision to throw your hat into the ring dun sa election, and nakita natin talaga yung effort mo on the ground to really go for a progressive, clean, and talagang a well-intentioned and sincere campaign. Before I say more, the floor is yours, brother.
Yeah, the biggest lesson I learned is there are a lot of parang regularities na nagulat ako. For example, talagang normal yung nagbibigay ng pera sa mga tumutulong sa inyo, mga volunteers, at nagbabayad para sa kanila. At na hindi nga volunteers tawag doon siguro eh. Pero totoong may bigayan ng pera. Now, I guess there's a way to circumvent it to make it sound like it's not vote buying. And it's one of those parang um, parang gray areas in terms of vote buying eh. Kasi everyone was doing it. Ang sinasabi nga ng karamihan nung araw na yun, the night before the election is aambunan. Sorry, hindi aambunan, uulan ng pera sa gabi na yon bago ng eleksyon. At totoo umulan ng pera. I'm not saying that candidates were vote buying. I'm just gonna say that people that were mobilizing the people para magdala ng mga tao at para bumoto ay nakakakuha ng pera para gawin yung trabaho nila. So assume na lang natin na pambayad para sa trabaho nila na mag-mobilize ng tao para the next day bumoto. Hindi ko sinasabi din kung sino yon at sinasabi ko lahat o ilan sa kanila. Pero definitely, normal na practice na pala to. So yun ang nakita ko talagang isang eye-opener para sa akin. Ang isa pa is the culture of handouts. Yung patronage politics is alive and well at yun ang nakasanayan ng karamihan ng mga Pilipino. Hindi lang yun. Kung hindi ka nga nakapagbigay, although naintindihan nila, ang mangyayari dito is sasabihin nila parang, ba't yung iba nagbibigay? May ganun yan eh. Bakit yung iba nagbibigay, ikaw hindi? Parang ganyan. So, yun yung nakita ko talagang biggest problem with the elections. And I'm not saying that that's the reason ba't ako natalo. Dahil tingin ko talaga I could have done more anyway sa kampanya. And alam ko naman how, I think looking back, I know what I need to do more of to be able to do that. Pero definitely, maraming pera talagang nagbabaha ng pera tuwing election. Totoong totoo yun.
Thanks for that very honest take. No, ikaw, Mark, what were your big takeaways from the elections before we go to our understanding of what happened in the elections? Bakit maraming surprising outcomes?
In fairness, doon sa city ni Chris, wala pa masyadong laban. Di ba? Hindi pa mabigat yung laban for mayor, for congressman. Paano pa kaya yung ibang mga bayan o mga syudad na talagang mahigpit yung laban for mayor, for congressman. Talagang umulan talaga. And gusto ko lang ding tama yung sinabi niya eh. Nasa isang barangay din ako nung election day, doon ako, before the elections. Umaasa yung mga tao eh. Oh, nakakuha ka na ba ng ganito? Si ganitong konsehal, nagbigay na ba? Si ganitong congressman, magkano binigay? Eh yung kabila,
Yup.
magkano binigay? O sino boboto natin? Mga ganong, kumbaga parang parang piyesta ba yung day before the elections. Ang hirap pigilan, parang wala din tayong narinig na kung may nahuli ba nung May 10 o nung May 11 na vote buying, parang wala din tayong nakitang pinagkaiba o hinuli. So, hindi yun, alam na natin yun. Kumbaga, uh, that's part now of local politics. That's one reason din kung bakit I'm hesitant din na gawin yung ginawa ni Chris na lumaban sa local dahil alam kong may ganun
Yeah.
may ganun na angulo talaga. For the national position naman, ang sa akin um natutuwa ako dun sa for Congress, for party list for example, kasi national. Ang daming mga gumastos na mga malalaki, ang daming mga kuha sila artista, kuha sila ng ano, usap sila sa ganitong governor, usap sila sa ganitong mayor, pero ang daming natalo sa kanila. Yung mga gumastos ng 100 milyon, 200 milyon, tapos makikita mo yung tipo ni Ellie San Fernando na talagang dinaan through TikTok. Alam mong may following talaga through TikTok. Wala siyang ano, hindi siya gumastos halos nung kampanya na mga malalaking mga events o caucus o wala kang nakitang ganun. Pero he was able to come out with 350,000 votes. Malaking lesson din for doon sa mga national eh. Kumbaga, yung social media following, it may not be enough to win you as senator, pero as party list pwede. Kaya eh. Yung nakita ko yun kay Bosita nung 2022, nakatusit sila. Nakita ko yun kay Ellie San Fernando. Kasi yung mga fans niya passionate talaga. At yun naman yung nakita ko. Yun naman yung the top 2 winners nung election sa party list, di ba? Akbayan, the people were passionate to make Chel Jokno congressman. 'Di ba? Yung sa Duterte Youth, ganun din yung mga DDS kahit na misinform o ano sila, alam mong merong passion talaga sila na maiuwi si Tatay Digong dito. So yun ang maaring yun ang kulang doon sa administration, sa admin side. Walang passion eh. Hindi kumbaga yung base niya hindi ganoon na energize, hindi ganoon na excite. So yun. Doon naman sa takbo ko for senatorial, ano ba natutunan ko? Una, masayang tumakbo. I enjoyed yung process. Pero marami akong mga ginawa na marami akong ginugol na oras na hindi nag-deliver ng boto masyado. So, in the end, I think ang bumoto pa rin sa akin is yung mga nanonood sa akin sa social media. Napapanood ako sa channel mo, Richard, sa channel ko, doon sa channel ng mga kasamahan kong ibang vlogger. So, yun pa rin. In the end, yun pa rin ang bumoto sa akin. So, I have to, if ever in the future gusto kong tumakbo ulit, kailangan ko i-recalibrate siguro yung ginagawa ko during the campaign period and during the yung 7 months mula filing hanggang pagtakbo. Tsaka yung logistics, sa mga tao, ang hirap din. Kaya yun naman, it takes, kumbaga 7 months masyadong maiksi. If you want to run for senator, dapat hindi ka tumitigil ng pagkampanya, ng pag-ano. And yung awareness, I wasn't able to bring up my awareness na masyadong mataas. Siguro nataas ko a few percentage points. So you have to work on that leading doon sa papasok sa election period. So, ayun.
Pero you would have enough vote for a party list, no?
Oo, yun nga sinasabi ng iba. Pero yun nga, kailangan mo yung passionate talaga enough to choose you bilang yung nag-iisang party list nila.
Tama ka, kasi isa lang pwedeng piliin eh. So, I think yung kay Ellie, this lesson there is grabe yung passionate talaga yung support base niya. Grabe ang baba ng angas, no? Yung kay George. Parang 100,000 lang bumoto sa kanya eh. May vice ganda pa siya and all, di ba? Ang dami niyang mga events. Ang dami mga surprises, no? I mean, it's not only that Akbayan was #1, it's also that a lot of big names or supposedly yung mga big party list ay sobrang nag-underperform, no? Mark, before I go back to Chris.
Totoo. Hello? Totoo, Richard. At gusto ko din idagdag, Richard. Happy lang din ako, naalala ko yung usapan natin mga 2 years ago after the 2022 election, di ba? Pinag-uusapan natin, ang daming botante ni Lenny, bakit hindi nagre-reflect sa party list sa mga congressman? Kayang-kaya na. And that's exactly what happened. Di ba? Yung mga naniniwala, yung mga kakampings, they all went behind Chel Jokno, some went behind Manay Leila, and nakapanalo sila ng 4 sa party list from dun sa dalawang yon. So, yan kaya pang ipalaki, kaya pa siyang i-grow in the future. Kumbaga nakuha na ng formula yung Akbayan. 'Di ba? Yung for example, for the likes of Heidi Mendoza, if ever kung mag-decide siya either as senator uli o baka gusto niyang mag-party list so pwede din, may ganung option. And sigurado kung sinong kukuha ang party list kay Heidi, if it is Akbayan or ML or kahit sinong party list na kumuha sa kanya, malaking push kapag nandoon si Heidi. as a nominee. For example, yon in the future. And even si Calyodi, and Kaluk Espiritu, 'di ba? Kung gusto, pwede sila mag-senator o yung isa pwedeng mag-party list. Ang importante nasa gobyerno sila, parang si Chel Jokno, he will be able to make a difference. He will have a larger audience and kumbaga one more congressman on the good side, kumbaga on the one less na bad apple diyan sa Congress.
Tsaka, you have chips on the table. Chris, I want to go back to you. I saw you did your post-mortem, of course, went viral online. Congratulations also for the fact na kayo, actually parehas kayo, di ba? Habang tumatakbo kayo, vlogger pa rin kayo eh. So, as you have that, you're inside the ring, but you're still analyzing what's happening inside the ring. Ikaw, Chris, aside from your own separate analysis, for the purpose of our audience today, our joint audience today ng our MC, anong basa mo dun sa election result? Bakit nag-underperform yung administration? I don't buy the headlines na nanalong DDS side. No, hindi sila nanalo. Like they got 3, 4, 5 out of 12 Senate maximum. Karamihan naman ng congressmen ay galing naman sa admin side or aligned to admin. 283 supporters pa rin si Martin Romualdez. Most of gobernador and mayores napanalo naman ng administration. So it was not a clear win for Duterte, but nevertheless, underperformance yung admin. Many were expecting 8 seats, 5 or 6. 5 or 6. The reason I say 5 or 6, how do you count Camille Villar, for instance? And then, of course, Bam, Boom, number 2, and Kiko, number 5. Buyaka siya, Akbayan, number 1. There was Kaka Bagao and number of other progressives on the ground. Shout out to Mayor Magalong in Baguio also for winning. Although, of course, sabi ko, Mayor Magalong, masyado kaya malapit sa kabilang cup, right? Alam naman ni Mark yan eh. Of course, Isko, dito, Governor sa Cebu, PDP Laban. So, it was an interesting race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. Pero alam mo, pag tinignan mo, no, the only reason naman sinasabi nila na parang natalo ang BBM slate is because they were expecting pretty much a clean sweep. But if you think about it, remember, Camille and Aimee started with the Allianza slate. Kaya if you look at them, those two, para silang yun na nga namamangka sa dalawang barko, parang ganun ba yung, ano ba yung term na yun, di ba? So, those two, are they with the admin or are they not with the admin? Camilo was never really taken out of the Alianza slate. But they did go and get the endorsement of the Dutertes. So, sa 5 sa Alianza, dapat 7 yon. And if you think about it, that should have been 8 or 8 or 9. Ang nawala doon sa bilang na yon is Abby Binay and even Bong Revilla and Abalos. So there were certain personalities that should have been a part of it that did not make it. Dito nakapasok talaga si Marcoleta. That was the big surprise, Marcoleta. Aimee and Camille were, naglalabanan niya mga yan and nakapasok sila. So now that if you add them to the Duterte side, 5 na yung Duterte because of Aimee and Camille if you put them on that side of the fence. But in reality, 3 yung nakapasok na hardcore DDS sa mga senators natin. That's Bato, Bongo, and Marcoleta. Now, the fact that they did are part of the top 6, 1, 3, and 6 respectively. So that's Bongo, Bato de la Rosa, and Marcoleta says a lot. Siguro that's what the DDS or the Duterte camp is celebrating on, that out of the 12 senators, the top 6, 3 of them are Duterte senators and the 2 are opposition. Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan, and only 1 was part of the Alianza, which was Erwin Tulfo. And that's what they're basically banking on, is that narrative. And pwede namang, hindi naman mali gamitin yung narrative na yun if you think about it. It's actually correct to say na, well, with the numbers showing, it was obvious that the Duterte camp is still strong because if you look at the total number of votes they got, malaki yung boto na kuha nila. No, that's not a small feat to be number 1, number 3, and number 6. So yun yung talagang sineselebrate nila. And they're gonna capitalize on it. Again, I think it was Ronald Llamas who said this to me. Remember that the reality is BS. It's the perception of the reality that really counts the most. So whoever controls the narrative controls the reality. Yun yon.
Exactly. Ikaw, Mark, do you think we should have been surprised? Because in fairness, Pulse Asia just brought out a survey they did closer to the election date, and this one looks a little bit more accurate. I mentioned dun sa isang
Oh,
consumer sentiment internal survey I saw that up to 20-25% of voters decide on election date. Ronnie Holmes is saying in this election cycle, baka almost one-third ay nag-decide sa huling araw. At interestingly, pag tinignan natin yung mga sample ballots, whether from Cordillera, my region, all the way sa Mindanao, parang sinama si Bam Kiko sa lahat ng slates, either PDP Laban slate or Alyansa slate.
sama
Kumbaga,
pareho, no? So,
perfect
galing.
storm in a good way ang nangyari. Kaya ang ganda ng performance ni Bam and Kiko, no?
Ako gusto kong mag-react ka. Ang daming iba't iba ako nakikitang analysis, ang daming ang daming mga kung ano sinasabi. Pero very basic yung lumalabas sa data. Kahit nung paglabas ng Pulse Asia ngayon na Digong has 97% sa Mindanao, 1% na distrust. It's very clear.
Margin of error yun.
Mindanao and
Baka
yung
error lang yung 1% na yan, margin
o
of
parang error lang yung 1%. O parang siguro staff nung congressman doon o ewan ko. Very clear yung data. Kumaga Mindanao and lahat ng Visayan speaking na provinces sa Visayas, which is yung Cebu, Bohol, parts ng Leyte, parts ng Negros, landslide for the PDP. Pag nakita mo sa top 12 nila, pumapasok sila JV Hinlo. Pumapasok. No offense kay JV Hinlo, naging USEC yan dati. Pero syempre, kumbaga, in terms of awareness, tinalo niya yung marami sa alyansa. Kung makita mo yung ganong level ng pag-follow ng mga tao, yun nga, tama naman din yung sinasabi nila. It was a protest vote. Siguro talagang masama loob nila sa ICC. And that is the reality na kailangang harapin ng mga pinks, ng mga admin, at ng iba pang gustong tumakbo sa 2028 heading sa susunod na election na yon. We need to give attention to Mindanao. Okay? For whatever reason, wala eh. Kumaga, hindi maganda yung tingin nila dun sa mga ibang kandidato, yung kanilang loyalty is with Duterte masyado. And before, alam naman natin yan before, pero hindi sa ganitong level eh, hindi sa ganitong degree na number 3 si Jimmy Bondok, number 4 si puro PDP yung lumalabas sa
Kibuloy
mga
yata
probinsya.
nakapasok sa top 12.
Kibuloy pumapasok sa ibang ano. Si Kibuloy taga doon naman. So baka mas kilala nila si Kibuloy doon dahil taga Mindanao din si Kibuloy. Pero yung the thing is yung mga locals nanalo, yung mga congressman nila nanalo. So yung mga AIX tupad, yung mga kung anong mga binibigay ng mga ayuda o mga suporta mula sa gobyerno, it worked as far as doon sa congressman, sa local. Pero hindi siya nag-translate
Sa
doon sa
Senado.
pagtingin nila sa mga binoboto sa national. So
Very good point.
may mali on that part.
Very
So,
good
di ba?
point.
Parang
Just to
hindi
give
nila
the
siguro
numbers,
maramdaman si Yeah, plus kung idadagdag mo yung masamang tingin nila sa mga Marcos from the father.
of course, yung ginawa ng ward sa Mindanao,
Oo,
nakakataan talaga ni Marcos
kumaga
Sr. Correct.
hindi na mabango kagad yung mga Marcos to begin with sa Mindanao.
Kaya yung
Tapos
BARM, in-endorse nila si Kiko, di ba? Yung BARM,
mm,
yung mga former MILF leader. More opposition na lang sila. I don't know about PDP Laban opposition, but at least Kiko. Just for the numbers, Mark, thank you for pointing that out. So, both Sara and Rodrigo Duterte basically have 100% support with margin of error 3%, right? So, basically, 100% sa Mindanao pareho. Pero interesting Sara only has 29% in Luzon. Pero si Digong, 46%. Visayas, 46% Sara, but Digong is 64%. So almost 100% Mindanao, and then more than 6 out of 10 in the Visayas region. So, and then BBM has 3% in Mindanao. 3%. I mean, this
yun
is
na yun.
this is I mean, I don't think there's any other president in Philippine history na completely canceled in one region of the country, right? 3% pare. Baka margin of error pa nga, zero pa siguro si BBM, di ba? So, that really explains why. Kasi si BBM, 40 plus siya sa Luzon and NCR eh. Pero sa Mindanao talaga pare, it's a
Hmm.
difference of 100% and 0% almost. Or 97 to 3. Ikaw, Chris,
Laki. And
tapos na ba
sinasabi
ang
ko din sa
laban? I
vlog ko,
mean, like, grabe yung
oh. For
tribalism.
first
I
time,
mean,
may ano din eh.
yeah.
Kasi for example sa Tokhang, 'di ba? Like dito sa Metro Manila, ang daming biktima sa Tondo, sa Caloocan, sa mga depressed areas dito. Maring that is not yung nangyari sa Mindanao eh. So magkaiba tayo ng experience doon sa mga kababayan natin doon eh. So hindi naman siya pwede, kumbaga hindi mo din siya diretsong bakit ganito yung binoto nyo? Bakit ganyan kayo kaano kay Digong? So maganda makausap sila eh. Honest discussion with them, makausap sila and ayun, start from there. Ano bang and bigyan na ng atensyon, bigyan ng programa, bigyan ng kailangan din naman. For many decades na pag-iwanan naman sila, siguro yung pride nila na ano kasi nagkaroon tayo ng presidenteng
I think
Mindanawan.
part it's more of that eh. I think honestly, like I'm all for the resentment argument kaya nga na I got into trouble, di ba, when I mentioned yung HTI. Pero feeling ko is more like proud sila na Digong is
Yes
really
eh.
their first president. In fairness, maraming development na nangyari na hindi naman super big scale. Hindi nangyari yung Mindanao Railway.
Yeah,
Pero
like yung
maraming
Bangsamoro Organic
bridges,
yun, that
projects sa
happened
Mindanao
during
nangyari kay
ano.
Digong. Exactly. So, feeling ko, I completely agree with you. I'm just feeling sometimes yung pride factor ay mas lumalakas na hindi lang ito yung parang galit lang kami sa Manila. Although of course lumabas yan after the ICC issue. I think it's also because hindi, si Digong inalagaan kami nung 6 years na siya yung presidente. Ganito, ganyan. So you're absolutely right. But just to point out, Batis sa ABC, very interesting in numbers. Only 25% ng ABC. Ito yung katulad natin, middle class. Because yung A naman nasa Forbes and Dasmariñas yan. So, hindi naman nasa survey mga yan at saka statistically relevant. 25% lang kay BBM, 44% kay Sara. Si Digong majority trust. Almost 6 out of 10 sa middle class natin. So, that for me is even more interesting because it tells you, hindi ito yung, alam mo yan, yung elitist na bobotante argument. It doesn't apply eh. Kasi yung middle class mismo natin ay pro-Digong eh. 6 out of 10, which is exactly the number he used to also get when you ran for president. And if you look at your approval ratings throughout the years, ABC was very strongly behind Digong. So yung pink na movement, million yan. Pero if your middle class is 10, 20 million, pink is probably 4, 5, 6 million solid, right? And then the rest of the middle class and all are actually more on the other side. This is based on this survey. So I don't know. I'm just
Sorry,
saying, baka we might overdo
sorry,
also
Richard.
the
Sorry, who are you
Mindanao
asking? Is it
factor.
me or Mark? Sorry.
No, no, I'm just saying. But going back to you, Chris, how do you see the Mindanao factor, this solid South factor? Kasi mukhang hindi mawawala ito eh. Mukhang they're gonna be solidly behind any Duterte and all. Or maybe not because Sara's numbers went significantly down and then up again now. But maybe it may not. Baka si Digong lang talaga yan. Anong basa mo dyan?
Alam mo, for me, Richard, talagang kailangan kasi siguro bigyan pansin talaga ng ating gobyerno yung Mindanao. Kasi yun ang ginawa ni Duterte because he's from Mindanao. Inulanan niya ng pera ang Mindanao. Ganun naman talaga yung tactic. At ginawa niya talaga is the typical playbook of an authoritarian. Yung di-divide mo yung isang bansa. And you cause that tribalism you're talking about. And that's really what he did. He demonized Manila. He demonized. He used the red tagging, the drugs, all of that to be able to divide Filipinos. At yun talaga yung nangyari dito. Kaya nagkaganon siya. So, yun yung tingin ko talagang kailangan ayusin natin is to unite the Philippines again. At hindi natin dapat sinasabi yung mga parang wala ibang wala naman actually nagaganon. Sila lang nagsasabi ng mga Duterte. But they're very effective in controlling the narrative on social media. And that's what makes them really good at the way they manage social media and how they manage information.
Yung wala na ng pera, may mga nagsabi yung flood control project sana, di ba? By the way, our hearts go to our friends in Davao and all who have been going through natural disasters. Yung mga critics kasi sinasabi nila, paano yung flood control projects? Baka kailangan titignan. Tinitingnan mo ba yung angulo na yan, Chris? Mark, nakita mo yung mga... Actually, I disagree dun sa ibang kaibigan natin. I mean, we should put aside politics when there's a natural disaster wherever in the country. At the same time, of course, yung mga critics were saying, kamusta yung mga flood control project? Kasi yun yung atake kay BBM all the time, di ba? Yung mga flood control, billion-billion, ginastos pa noon ni Digong eh. So some people are also asking, kamusta naman back home?
Hello? Diyan pa si
Mark,
Kes.
Mark, you wanna respond to that? Kasi last time we were here, nagana tayo.
Oo.
Yung flood control
Oo.
talaga, no? Yun ang medyo, ano kailangan talaga bigyan ng pansin eh. Kasi honestly, dun sa
Bili
election,
na lang tayo ng bangka. Pag-aralan muna natin yung flood control, yung budget, bili na lang muna ng bangka ng mga ano.
mag Noah's
Baka
Ark
kasi
na lang.
wala effect yung ibang flood control eh. Baka kailangan paghandaan na lang talaga, baka lumulubog na talaga tayo.
Para,
Pag-aralan na muna. Pag-aralan na muna bago aryan ng kanya-kanyang flood control kada ano, kada isang distrito, kada isang area.
I mean, going back to this fraud, I want to get also Kristan's point of view on this, no? I mean, the reason is because isa rin sa malaking atake sa BBM administration. Kasi ang basa ko dito is, bugbog si BBM from both sides, di ba? A basically alyansa. One is yung ICC issue. And then the other one is etong issue ng ayuda at saka yung PhilHealth at saka yung mga akusasyon na yung budget ginamit for electioneering, 'di ba? Ito naman galing sa mga sila Chelo Magno, progressives, liberals, 'di ba? Yun isa naman obviously from the Duterte camp, from our brothers and sisters from Mindanao, yung sense ng so nagsama yung dalawa na yun eh. And in fairness kay BBM, it's not like he didn't try himself, pero kapos yung effort ng alyansa eh, hindi siya dinefended, 'di ba? Ano bang sinabi ng mga alyansa member on these issues, 'di ba? So I felt the president was really squeezed in between, and that may also explain why medyo nahihirapan si President BBM.
Hmm. Yes. Ako Richard. Kasi
Yeah, please, please.
Hindi, oo. Pero normal naman kasi sa presidency yan, lahat naman ng presidency may ganong ano eh. Kung titingnan mo naman nga yung sa Luzon, sa Metro Manila, sa ano, kumaga manageable naman. Kumaga normal siya na lahat ng presidente dumadaan sa mga ganong klase ng mga issues, mga scandals. Talagang ano, extreme lang kasi masyado talaga yung sa Visayas and Mindanao kaya nahila ng ganon. At siguro kaya nahila pababa yung ilang mga alyansa na dapat makakakuha ng boto sa Mindanao, hindi sila nakakuha yung ordinaryo nila nakukuha, kaya hindi sila pumasok at nakapasok yung mga iba.
Yeah. Ikaw, Chris, anong read mo dyan?
You know what? Sorry I nakikipag-debate ako dito sa mga nasa chat room eh. Kasi
Nagbabardagulan ka.
may nanghahamon kasi dito ng ano ng debate. Sabi ko,
Sige
okay, bigay
lang.
mo yung pangalan mo, ayaw naman ibigay. Kaya natatawa ako, hamon ng hamon. Tapos sinasabi niya, dudurugin daw niya tayo sa debate. Sabi ko, sige, bigay mo pangalan mo, ayaw naman ibigay. So, yung mga typical na duwag na hamon ng hamon, pero pag kinol mo yung bluff, hindi makapalag. Natatawa ako kaya sorry, na-distract ako sobra kasi etong si win rate trick, kaya no, nakatago pa
Pangalan
sa
pa lang eh.
alias. Kaya natatawa ako kasi gusto makipagdebate. Ilagay nga natin ngayon dito pero hindi naman to haharap eh. Pakita niya mukha niya kung gusto niya. Sorry guys, sobra ako na-distract kasi natatawa ako sa mga ganitong mga duwag eh. Na ang tapang manghamon pero kung sabihin mo, sige, lagay natin ngayon sa live stream, hindi naman makapalag. Anyway, you're saying, Richard, sorry, or Mark, sorry about that. Go on, ahabol ako sa inyo sa usapan.
We were asking you, like, yung issue ng ayuda, allegations of corruption. So, ngayon, biglang, people are turning it around and saying, oh, bakit ganito, nababaha dyan, kamusta yung flood control project? Ako naman, I said always, wag natin i-weaponize. Kasi, syempre, our brothers and sisters in Davao have been suffering from the flooding. Wag na naman natin politicize
Yeah,
it. At the same time, I think there are legitimate questions with the flood control project. Ang laki ng
yeah.
ginastos ng Duterte administration, including on Mindanao. We discussed that, right? So, kamusta
Yeah,
naman yun?
pero I want to add about regarding the ayuda, the thing about ayuda. It's ironic to me na yung mga Duterte camp, nilalaban nila na bakit daw nagbibigay ng ayuda, hindi daw tama yun, 'di ba? They're demonizing the ayuda system na nakasanayan na ng lahat ng Pilipino since time immemorial, 'di ba? Pero ang irony na to, no, sila mismo are the ones also part of that system that they keep criticizing. Sila mismo ang bibigay ng ayuda. Alalahanin ng mga sumusuporta kay Duterte, sila mismo, si Sara mismo, nagbigay ng mga ayuda, medical assistance, all this help using confidential funds na hindi naman talaga dapat ginagamit para sa mga pagbibigay ng ayuda. Tapos siya nagsasabi na ang ayuda ay masama, ganyan-ganyan, pero siya mismo ay nakinabang doon. And I'm not talking in the hundreds of millions, I'm talking in the billions. Kaya pwede ba parang ang ano ang ironic talaga at ang hypocritical ng mga Duterte, mga ipokrito talaga itong mga to para sabihin na hindi tama yung ayuda pero sila mismo ginagawa nila the very thing na ayaw nila at sinasabi nilang hindi dapat. Yun eh, 'di ba? Like everything na binato nila sa kampo ni BBM is the very thing that they themselves do. They're part of that exact system na dinidemonize sila. Again, doon sila magaling mag-demonize at mag-control ng
Pero
narrative, especially
sumakay,
with that.
pero sumakay kasi sila, di ba? Yun yung sinasabi natin nung January pa eh. Nung mga ating mga well-intentioned and credible friends when they were talking about this worst budget everything, sinakyan ng mga Duterte yan eh. And in the end, it helped them and it helped them to get away. I mean, if you look at some of the Duterte-aligned candidates, you could have easily said, formally, di ba? But they got scot-free eh, because lahat ng attack on that was concentrated on the government and the genuine opposition, I think, basically helped the cause of the Duterte side, inadvertently, obviously.
Yeah,
Ako,
absolutely.
Richard,
Go ahead, Mark.
Bro,
sorry. Pagdating sa, gusto lang din idagdag pagdating sa flood. Okay? I think the best pa rin talaga is to have one point person eh. Isang USEC siguro ng DPWH na to manage yung mga flood control projects. Kaso malabong mangyari kasi nga may kanya-kanyang flood control kada distrito, kada ano. So, pero I think wala kasing accountable eh. Walang may tuturo, walang ano. Dapat may isang tao na yun ang nakatutok, yun ang trabaho niya na during this administration, during these 3 years, siya yung in charge of flood control. Kumbaga, hindi natin nasusukat, hindi na may measure, nag improve ba, nawawala ba yung ano, wala masyadong data, wala masyadong accountability on the part of the government kung sinong in charge talaga pagdating sa bahay. Siguro isang point person pa rin talaga ang dapat, isang flood
my
czar,
czar,
itawag nga
my
nila,
czar, yeah,
isang USEC
exactly,
siguro.
exactly.
Kaso, mahirap nga yun kasi ibig sabihin, dadaan sa kanya lahat. So, kada distrito, di ba? Yung mga 51 billion o kung mga anong yan, kaya sa kanya dadaan lahat, di napaka-powerful din ng tao na yun. Kung sino yung in charge sa baha. Pero kailangan eh. Kailangan eh. Kasi kailangan may isang dumidiskarte talaga, may isang nag-responsible talaga dyan. So hanggat hindi siguro maayos yun, kanya-kanya silang ano ng flood control, wala tayong matuturo na responsible para maayos yung problema sa baha.
Balikan kita, Chris. Thanks for that, Mark, yung idea na. Baka ikaw, Mark, gusto mo mag-apply. Chris,
Yo. Ay, pwede din. Sige, okay yun. Puro,
parang, parang
Secretary of Flood
excited ka
Control.
agad, ah.
Ang daming budget ko.
Kaming
Pwede na
dalawa
Secretary of Flood Control.
ikaw yung Sec Czar, tapos kami ni Kristan yung mga USEC mo, babantayan ka namin.
Mga USEC ng flood control. Ang lakas nun.
Sarap buhay. Sarap buhay.
Decline ko dapat. Napaisip ako, teka.
Oo nga eh.
Secretary ko ng flood control.
Alam
Sige,
mo,
game.
Flood Czar, Flood Czar.
Flood
Chris,
czar. Oh, yun.
balik nga daw, Chris. What is your read naman dito sa surveys? Like, do you think that these elections undermine faith in surveys? Kasi we can debate the methodology and all of that. Pero parang feeling ko, after these elections, parang na-reinforce lalo yung skepticism towards surveys eh. Grabe yung bashing online. Good friends in Pulse Asia would say, no, no, no. If you look at their surveys closer to elections, mas na-capture. Friends sa double R numero, like Cleaver saying, medyo mas malaki yung standard statistical deviation this election cycle than previous cycle. Wala tayong exit polls thing, so it's really hard to break down the exact, yung mga nangyayari in terms of voter preference, especially Gen Z and the younger voters. But nevertheless, do you think na undermine ang confidence ng tao sa surveys? And ang karagdagan ko rin dyan, helpful ba rin yung mga ganitong survey din na, I mean, why do we need to know yung trust rating ni Digong na hindi naman, wala naman siyang position and he's like in detention. It's not like popularity contest. So, di ba? He's there for legal charges. So parang, feeling ko minsan baka ginagawa masyadong stock market yung politics. Hindi
Well,
ito usapan ng sinong mas mataas ang stock value, di ba? Yung parang ginagawang Bitcoin eh. Di ba? I mean,
yeah.
going back to you, bro. Ginagawang Bitcoin yung politics natin. Why would people, I mean, why would you
Sige.
celebrate satisfaction ni Sarah or especially Digong? Wala naman trabaho mo yan eh. Wala naman ginagawa mo yan eh. Satisfaction saan?
Okay, unang-una no regarding the service, ang dapat tinatanong natin, sino ang nag-fund ng survey na to? Kasi magastos to to be able to put together a survey. So ang tanong, sino ang gumagastos? Sino nag-commission ng survey na to? Yan ang number one kailangan natin tignan. Pangalawa, tama ka dun eh. Wala namang relevance na kung ano ba ang ratings or ang approval rating ni Digong kasi nga nasa Hague na yan, hindi niyan babalik forever. So at this point, ano ba yung punto nun? So for me, it actually just shows everyone and reminds everyone na itong mga surveys na to is really for mind control. I mean, think about it. Ano pa ba ang punto na to? And if you think about it, surveying 1,000 people, let's say tama tong survey statistics nila. Ang tanong ko, paano ba ito ginawa? Is it nationwide or is it maybe region-wide? Oh, yun eh.
Nationwide naman siya in fairness. Pero you're right. Like, sino nagbayad and ano yung agenda nila, di ba?
Yeah,
Like,
kasi,
say
kasi
what? Na Digong is love
yeah,
sa
why come out
ba?
now, di ba? So,
Definitely. I mean, ako, on the
Ayun.
methodology, I'll defend it. Pero yung point ko is parang exactly, how is this gonna help our democracy? Ikaw, Mark, anong basa mo? Kaya nga sabi
Tapos
ko,
ano
bakit
pa,
dagdag na rin
wala din
tatay
akong
mo? Yung daddy mo, Harry Roque, yung lagay na rin nila kung mataas ang trust ng tao para hindi na makancel yung passport niya, di ba? Para makauwi na siya. I mean, if
idagdag
you
ko din
want to go down that road.
wala akong pino-point out na survey firm ah. Syempre tignan din sino yung may-ari nung survey firm, di ba? Kung anong bias na ano. Pero sa akin ano eh, karapatan naman ng bawat isa na magpa-survey, na maglabas ng ano. Mahirap, hindi ko pa maisip kung paano mo ipupulis eh. Na ipagbabawal yung paglalabas ng survey o pag ano. Kumbaga karapatan na ano, pero yun nga nagagamit nga sa mind conditioning. Pero ang payo ko na lang sa tao, tignan yung average ng mga survey, di ba? Wag maniwala sa isang survey lang. Tignan mo yung trend, tignan mo yung average, tumingin ka sa 5 survey. Yun eh. Kaso ang hirap pigilan eh. Kasi syempre karapatan naman ng bawat isa kung gusto magpa-survey. And yung mga hindi naman lumalabas, itong mga kumpanya na yan, di ba? Meron silang nilalabas, meron silang mga internal lang. Nagagamit talaga ng politiko eh, sa strategizing eh. Yung pagsa-survey nila pag tumatakbo sila or sa isang lugar. So sa akin, hindi ko pa maisip kung paano mo ipupulis yung mga survey na yan. Nakaka-mind condition talaga, pero yun eh, that's the game eh.
I mean, again, you're right. There won't be a mind conditioning if you look at different surveys and then finds. Ang point ko lang, actually, sinisisi ko rin ng media eh. How they seized upon surveys as if it's the end-all, be-all of everything. Like, halos lahat ng mga media outlets, immediately when there's a survey like this, they're bringing it out. So, ako, actually, I'm sympathetic. If you're a survey agency, it's your business. It's your job, right? Pero the way it's treated and weaponized by politicians, the way na naging clickbait ito ng mga media outlets, and tayo even, right? I think that's where it doesn't become helpful kasi ginagawang sabong eh. Parang it's like I'm just looking at, yung mga stock market, anong mataas si ano, ganito. Kaya parang, how is this helping our democracy, right, Chris? I don't think, like, knowing
well,
past rating of Digong, how is that gonna help the Philippines become better democracy or anything like that?
Well, you know what? It's not about that anymore. At the end of the day, alam mo, let's just be ano na lang, realistic about things. Ganun lang talaga. So that's like Mark said. I agree with Mark. It's really part of the game, and you can't say it's fair, not fair. Why is the media, amplifying the message? Hey, they got the message. They're gonna do what they need to do. Sensational news, why not, 'di ba? I will never blame parang why different actors or state actors do what they do to for their own interest. Everyone's doing it for their own interest. So, para sa akin, talagang bahala na ang taong bayan. Kung maniwala ka o hindi, nasa iyo talaga 'yan at the end of the day. And listen, in 2025, itong nakaraang eleksyon, alalahanin mo na ang taong bayan ay nag-iisip na. Nakita mo na nag-iisip na sila. The fact na dinurog na nga yung reputasyon ng mga Bam Aquino and Kiko Pangilinan at ng Dilawan and yet nanalo
Yes.
sila. Nag-top 2 and top 4 pa. Oh, so that says to you that the tide is shifting. Nagbabago na yung tingin ng tao. Ngayon, nag-iisip na yung mga tao. Noong 2016, na blindsided talaga tayo dahil hindi naman natin ko alam kung ano pala itong mga mind conditioning na ginagawa ng mga trolls at yung mga troll army at mga surveys na yan at yung mga propaganda. Ngayon, alam na natin, handa na tayo, nag-iisip na. And with a lot more information out there and a lot more pushback from whether it's vloggers, like what we do and mga social media posts, marami kayo na nagigising na yung mga tao. Meron pa rin mga bulag at nakikita ko nga sila dito sa chat box natin ngayon. Pero ganyan talaga ang katotohanan and I'm okay with that. And it is a matter of time. That's all it is. Ganun lang talaga.
Okay, just to be clear where I'm coming from, no, siguro para sa inyo masyado akong idealistic. Kasi ang mentor ko sa UP Pulse was Felipe Miranda. Isa siya sa founders ng Pulse Asia and co-founder ng SWS. So sila yung nagdala ng survey, basically the whole model from Chicago nung nag-aaral sila ng Chicago Universities in the 60s and 70s sa Pilipinas. And Pepe Miranda back in the day had this article about how actually surveys help democracy because they give you an idea of the pulse of the nation, they allow the policymakers to calibrate their policy, etc. So dyan ako galing. Ang point ko lang naman is I think it makes sense and at the same time it can also be weaponized, right? It cuts both ways. But
It's
Chris,
not
Mark,
both
you're
ways.
right. I mean, there's no point in
Oo.
being crybabies about this. I also get that point. Yeah.
Oo. Tama din sa sinabi mong it cuts both ways kasi yung mga iba kampante naman sila, mataas sila dun sa survey. Ay okay, mananalo naman ako. Tapos biglang iba yung naging resulta nung elections, 'di ba? So pwede din siyang negative eh. Ang maganda nga sa pink side kahit na nasa 13, 14, 15 si Bam and Kiko, mas sumipag tuloy, mas 'di ba? Mas ginanaan mas kumbaga mas nagpursige tuloy. So kumbaga ano siya eh, it goes either way eh. Pwede siyang makatulong, pwede din siyang makasama. Kasi, kunyari sa Cebu, baka akala ni Gwen, sure win siya doon sa kanyang kalaban. Medyo nag-lack siya ng konti. O, tapos ganun na yung nangyari. Pero wala kasing nag-survey, wala akong nakitang survey na nag-predict yung mangyayari sa Mindanao eh. Doon ako nagtataka. Wala akong ni isang survey na kung lumabas ng mas maaga yung Pulse Asia na ganyan yung trust rating ni Digong sa Mindanao, baka mas hindi ako nagulat eh.
Hmm. Um, but going back to this, so tama ba si Bong Revilla na kakasuhan niya yung mga na, kasi 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 in fairness to Bong Revilla, ang taas niya sa surveys and then sobrang iba yung lumabas. Are you saying Mark kaya kasalanan ng surveys na naging kampante siya tuloy hindi na gumana yung budots?
Honestly, for me, I think Bong Revilla is crying over spilled milk at this point.
Doesn't
To
look good on
blame
him.
na
Yeah.
to blame just the social media post about his conviction or acquittal or yung kailangan niyang bayaran as the reason why he lost is oversimplifying a bigger problem in terms of his branding. At yun ay maliit na bagay lang. Kasi kung titignan mo, marami mo namang mga nasa Kongreso ngayon at Senado at sa ating gobyerno na corrupt, na binoboto pa rin. Tignan mo nga lang sa Senado natin, di ba? May nakikita ka dyan mga pangalan, magtataka ka eh. So hindi yun ang reason kung matatalo si Bong Revilla. Natalo siya dahil ayaw na talaga ng mga tao sa mga talagang walang ginagawa naman sa Senado. Actually, kahit na mas unfortunately for him, siya lang talaga yung nakita na walang sinabi, walang pinakita, walang pinag-usapan at hindi na walang ginagawa. Yung mga Tulfo nanalo yan dahil yung mga Tulfo malakas talaga sila sa social media, matagal na silang malakas. Matunog pangalan nila o yung isumbong mo kay Tulfo na brand, malakas. Anong brand ni Bong Revilla? Wala eh. 'Di ba? Kaya siya natalo, yun lang yun eh. So for him to do that, he's oversimplifying and crying over spilled milk at naghahanap siya na mabibintang sa kanyang lackluster performance and failure to win a Senate seat. And I think I don't think even yung pagkasampa niya ng mga kaso is even gonna flourish.
Well, Willie also didn't do very well. Mas mataas pang vote sa kanya ni Heidi Mendoza, which obviously shows Heidi's potential, but also shows na baka porket artista ka and all, ay hindi nagagana. Katulad ng dati, Manny Pacquiao he said he was shocked also by this. Although hindi ko na-gets yung timing at saka yung
Hmm.
ginawa niya last moment na sabi nila bobo ako pero ang dami akong tinulungan. I'm not sure that makes you necessarily senatoriable. But anyways, in fairness, Mark, no, marami rin artista or artistahin, I don't know, celebrity, quote unquote, did not do as well, if not actually not making it. Oh, by the way, let me apologize kay Sir Ben Tulfo because I really thought he would make it. So, kumapit lang siya number 13, no? Si Aiming nakapasok. So, good evening. My apologies about that. Kasalanan ng surveys yan eh, naging kampante, di ba, Mark?
Yeah, oo. Tsaka ano eh, Hindi naman talaga ganun kulang din siya hindi siya well-funded, hindi siya nakasama sa isang malaking coalition. So may kakulangan din doon. So nung nag-surge yung mga PDP, o yun, siya yung naging casualty siguro kasi pang number 13 siya. So pero muntik
Ben,
na, muntik
tinatawag
na.
Ben, di
Not
ba?
bad eh.
Oo, Ben Tulfo.
Oh, si Ben to,
Si
di ba? Si
Willie
Ben, oh.
sumama kay Bongo eh. Si Willie sumama kay Bongo. So
Oh,
I think
yun nga
Willie
eh. Kung
expected.
nag-PDP si Willie, baka nanalo si Willie eh.
Oh, medyo
Kumbaga
last minute siya eh.
nagse-celebrate.
Mm, tama.
Oo eh. Kasi Willie Revillame yan eh. Kumbaga, kung sumama siya doon sa mga PDP, kung ginawa ni Ipe, baka lumusot, he played it safe eh. So, ayun, ganun, tapos nangyari yung ICC, so ganun yung nangyari. So, yun nga iniisip ko eh, kung
At saka
nag-PDP si
yung
Willie, baka
inaaway niya
nanalo
yung
si
mga tao.
Willie.
Tsaka yung inaaway niya yung mga tao for asking him anong gagawin mo sa... I don't think that help. Yung masyado siyang defensive. Hindi, ikaw, gusto mo, ikaw na lang magsabi anong gusto gawin ko. I don't think that help. I think it came off very arrogant, to be honest. No? Chris?
Yeah, actually, more than defensive, he was offensive. Nakikita mo talaga how he's so irritable, has no more patience with people, at turning into a grumpy old man. At yun ang reason why he became unlikable. Nakita mo how he treats people generally eh. He's not a, hindi siya hindi siya maayos na kausap na tao. Arrogante talaga si Willie Revillamo, unfortunately. And kaya siya natalo dahil habang umiikot siya, nakikita mo gano'n siya ka-arrogante. Nakikilala niya mga tao na nakikita ng tao pag nakikilala siya at nakikita siya lalo. Pababa ng pababa rate siya. Ang best na dapat nagawa niya, nagtago siya from social media nung nangangampanya at hindi siya nagpakita at doon baka manalo pa siya. The fact na nagpapakita siya, nakita mo siya on video, nagpapa-interview, yun na nag-start ng downfall niya. And tama si Mark dito by the way, na totoo naman si Willie I think was afraid to take a side, and the fact that he didn't go with the side of the Dutertes is probably one of the reasons why he lost as well.
Oh, medyo entitled ang dating. But surprisingly, Amy, if you look at her vote, it's still mostly from the north eh. In the end, ganun pa rin nangyari. Kaya nga, I half jokingly said, baka kunyari lang yung kay Amy. Baka at the end of the day, solid north pa. Kasi nakita ko yung voter, di ba? You could see the breakdown vote by region eh. Ang ganda ng mga
Oo.
statistics nakita ko. North pa rin ang nagbuhat kay Amy eh. So, this is an interesting world.
But Richard, remember kasi that a lot of the people in the provinces are primarily not on social media, I don't think. I think malakas pa rin ang telebisyon at ang radyo sa mga iba't ibang lugar, outskirts of the provinces, yung mga outskirts talaga, yung mga outliers na yun. And that's probably why nanalo si Marcos, si Aimee because of the last name, Marcos. At nadala pa rin siya ng Marcos na name.
Ikaw, nag-mention yun na actually, interestingly, while surveys say that social media has played an important role in shaping preferences of especially younger voters, at the end of the day, mainstream media is still the main game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Camille Villar played that mainstream media game really well. Camille Villar and Aimee Marcos did. Remember, they spent published rate roughly around 3 billion pesos on television, traditional media. All the traditional media, they spent the most money on traditional media, and nakita mo yung resulta nun. Kaya malakas pa rin talaga.
Mas pa rin talaga. Pero si Cynthia hindi, no? Mark? Na-hurt ako when sinasabi ni Camille, si Crush, sinasabi ni Camille, idol ko kasi si Daddy. Follow in Daddy's footsteps. Sabi ko, bakit si Mommy? Why not? Bakit? Si Mommy nga nag-number one sa Senate noong 2019 eh. Na-hurt ako para kay Cynthia. Bakit hindi si Cynthia ang minimension?
It's not like it's not like parang biglang Vico Soto yung Las Piñas, oh let's vote, hindi eh, she went up, kumbaga ang tumalo sa kanya grupo pa rin ng trapo pa rin na kamag-anak niya kumbaga bumangga pa rin siya sa, kumbaga it's not yung traditional politicians na nakikita dun sa lugar nila. Si Madam Cynthia kasi hindi masyadong bumababa siguro, hindi masyadong nagpapakita, and malakas talaga yung mga pinsan niya ay yung mga pamangkin niya doon sa lugar kasi matagal nilang hinawakan. So
Madam Cynthia. That's a way to put it, bro. Pero si Madam Cynthia, dami rin niyang bloopers, no? May mga wheelie moment din siya, no? Yung parang siya pa yung galit. Pag di siya binoto, bahala kayo siya.
nabraso nung pamangkin niya Syempre sila yung mayor, matagal silang namumuno doon, malalim yung pinagsamahan. Yung palang nakatalo sa kanya, bata pa lang, inalagaan na nung pumanaw na mayor Nene, oo, yung tatay. So talagang protege siya talaga nung tatay. So, kumbaga, hindi mo madi-discount yung tagal nung pinagsamahan niya doon sa mga taga Las Piñas. So, konting braso lang nung mayor, yun, she was able to beat itong si Madam Cynthia. Senator Cynthia. Oh, senator pa pala siya.
Ikaw, Chris, anong tingin mo sa Madam Cynthia? Bakit yung daddy lang niya yung sinasama niya ni Camille? Di ba yung mga huling ano niya, puro father? So, bakit hindi yung mami niya? Ang sama naman. Senator pa naman yung mami niya.
Pero alam mo, I'm just glad that she lost and no that's somehow a consolation para sa akin eh. Pero pag tinignan mo nga, ang lakas pa rin talaga ng mga political dynasties sa Pilipinas, ano. It's still they're still a dominant force in national and local politics. Look all over the place. Makikita mo lahat ng mga traditional politicians at ang mga political dynasties are back in power. 'Di ba? Wala naman masyadong nagbago eh.
Yun nga, actually yun nga, kaya tama sinabi ni Attorney Dean De Leon na opposition did very well. Obviously, Checky Bam, Pasok, Akbayan number one, maraming progressive, Vico Soto, obviously, Ma'am Lenny nanalo, dami nanalo na maayos, but let's still not forget the big picture, no? Andun pa rin yung solid grip ng mga dynasties. Just look at the Dutertes, no? Landslide lahat. Rodrigo Duterte II, Omar Duterte, Polong, Baste, cardboard mayor, lahat nanalo ng landslide. It's not even like close, no?
Alam mo, sa Davao, that's a special case and I always say to everyone that voted, whatever local or national, we will get the government we deserve. We will get exactly what we deserve. And hey, more power to the people in Davao. That's the government they want. That's the government they deserve. A cardboard mayor and bangag na vice mayor. I mean, go for it. Yun naman talaga yun eh. Wala tayong magagawa, di ba? At as long as hindi madamay buong Pilipinas sa akin, I really don't care.
Ingat ka bro, baka ma-personal ng grata ka, mauna ka pa sa akin sa Davao. Ikaw, Mark, anong basa mo?
Saan? Saan sa?
Kung,
Sa
parang
Davao?
Robin Padilla, yung kung ayaw mo yung tanong, ano po? Ano po yung sa Philippine Sea? Ano po? Hindi ko narinig po. Ikaw, Mark, ha? Yung mga style mo, ha? Ano, Mark? Anong basa
Hmm.
mo sa dynastic hold sa Pilipinas? Kahit si Madam Cynthia hindi nakalusot. Kasi natalo din siya
Ano
ng...
hindi kaya celebrated kapag natatalo sila eh. Merong nilabas yung Rappler, 'di ba? Napakakonti eh. Naglabas yung Rappler, limang pangalan na was able to beat yung mga dynasty sa lugar nila na sila celebrate. Sila celebrate natin kasi ang konti eh. So we need more of that. Pero ang ano nga is posible. Posible yung mga ganong ano. Kumbaga, it comes to a point na all the stars align and natatalo yung mga dynasty and hopefully yung trend goes that way, makuha natin yung ano. Kumbaga it gives courage doon sa mga lumalaban sa mga susunod. Okay? And then, for example, I want to give the example lang din si Bong Rodriguez sa Kamsur who is going up against the Villafuertes.
O
So
ano? O
90s pa
ano?
lang doon yung mga Villafuertes. Third generation na, mga ano na apo na. 100,000 lang yung pagtalo niya kay El
Oh,
Rey.
wow.
uh, Out of
Wow.
nowhere, wala siyang pwesto before, campaign manager siya sa Bicol ni Lenny nung 2022. Tumakbo siya bigla para lang may mailaban yung opposition doon. Ganun kadikit. So kumbaga it gives us hope na meron din, kumbaga yung mga kababayan natin is waking up na posible palang matalo itong mga dynasty na ito. Kasi minsan pinanghinaan ka ng loob eh na nako, what's the use? Kakalabanin ko to, babalikan lang ako nito. Ano lang ako nito. So we need more of that
Yeah,
para
you need to
lumakas
take
yung
the
loob ng
first
mga.
shot. Can I talk, Mark? You raised a very good point. No, let's talk about Senator Trillanes. He got more than a third of the vote, close to 40% of
Mm.
the vote, right? I mean, getting 200,000 plus votes in Caloocan against all odds, parang hindi nga siya binibigyan ng permit. I mean, you could really see, di ba? Talagang ano eh.
No
It's
budget
oh,
campaign.
pare, grabe, di ba? So, people don't realize what against what odds Senator Trillanes was operating and how the 200,000 votes he got is quite incredible, di ba? I mean, he still got more than a third of the votes. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? Kasi ikaw, you know more than all of us about Senator Trillanes' campaign sa Caloocan eh.
Mahirap talaga yung pinagdaanan ni Senator Trillanes dun sa paglaban sa Caloocan kasi lahat ng barangay captains dun sa kabila, may mga lugar ayaw kaming papasukin, di namin magamit yung mga courts at yung mga ibang lugar. So kadalasan sa kalsada, house to house. Tapos merong fear, may takot eh. Na pag nakita ko sa isang picture kasama ko si Trillanes, hindi na ako masasama sa lista. And I think ganun yung weapon na ginagamit ng mga iba't ibang lugar to control yung mga dynasty, to control yung mga tao nila. Na hindi kami mawawala dito. Ay, nangyari. Hindi kami mawawala dito.
It's still good.
Ah, we will be here tapos mananalo kami. Aalisan namin kayo ng mga ayuda, ano na kami kayo ng mga ano. So, hopefully it doesn't discourage yung opposition doon sa Caloocan. Kung sa 2028, kung if someone will stand up, kung si Senator Trillanes man yan uli, or someone doon sa team niya, or someone else. So hopefully merong lumaban. Pero hindi kasi madali, nakakapagod kasi talaga. May mga kalaban pa minsan, ite-threaten ka pa sa safety mo. Kaya nga gusto kong kudos to Mayor Vico kasi yung kalaban niya, yung mga Diskaya, they were able to freely mamigay ng ayuda. Wala silang naramdaman na kahit anong pangaharas mula sa City Hall. Kumbaga ang ganda maganda sa kung ganun. Kung confident ka sa pamumuno mo, hindi mo kailangan takutin yung mga tao mo or iharas yung mga kalaban mo na gustong magbigay ng tulong sa mga kababayan nyo.
I think this is perfect segue to go to the key part. Balikan natin yung kasi Sara impeachment, Quadcom. Chris, yung mga DDS, isa sa mga narrative nila is yung the people who went against them na binanggaan sila. Sila yung natatalo. So obviously, tinitroll nila si Senator Trillanes while ignoring everything that he had to overcome to get more than 200,000 votes. And then sila Dan Fernandez, I don't think they made it. Two members of the Quadcom didn't make it, but well, sorry sa mga DDS, the two replacement are exactly the ones that they wouldn't want to be there, Chel Jokno and Leila de Lima. But what is your read of that na after these elections, is there going to be still Quadcom? Will it still have an impact? Maybe not on Sara anymore kasi na-impeach na siya, but could be on other members of the family or other DDS element. And then sa Senado, is impeachment still in the books? Because it looks like the numbers are not promising for a conviction, but if a real trial happens, hindi Mickey Mouse trial at buksan yung bank accounts and all of that, sabi ni Justice Carpio, I think his point would be she could still be politically damaged enough for her not to be viable anymore as the inevitable 2028 candidate.
So let's start with Congress muna with regards to the impeachment at saka yung mga hearings. Remember that there are a lot of Senate Congress reps that signed for the impeachment. Marami. So yes, may mga casualty. Hindi mo naman makukuha yung 100% hit rate eh. Pero what's amazing is yun na nga how yung mga trolls ng DDS are controlling the narrative na sinasabi nila na tingnan mo natalo tong mga Quadcom members na to. Although minority, konti lang yung talo kumpara sa mga nanalo. Nanalo si si Bistrik Luistro, si Congressman Luistro. That's one of the prosecutors. And one of the very solid prosecutors. Nanalo din si Joel Chua. Ang dami. I could name all of these Congress representatives that won. So, it's really a question of who's controlling the narrative. Remember that we need to make sure that ipaalala na sa mga nagsabi na tingnan mo itong mga lumaban, sina Abante na wala, si Dan Fernandez na wala, pero tingnan mo yung mga nanalo, marami. At saka yung mga pumasok pang bago, yung mga tulad ni De Lima. So, that's one aspect from the congressional side. Now, let's talk about the side of the Senate. With regards to the impeachment, alam mo, Richard, siguro, and Mark, alam mo, I don't know if you guys agree with me on this one, pero the way I see it, regardless of whether Sara gets convicted or not, pag maganda yung pagpresenta ng ng ebidensya at malakas at matibay ang ebidensya at mabuksan yung bank accounts ni Sara Duterte na ipakita na talagang may nangyayaring paglulustay sa pera sa kaban ng bayan at makontrol natin yung narrative at remember, the perception of reality is even more than the reality itself. So, importante na makuha yung impormasyon, mailabas yun, at ma-amplify natin yung mensaheng yun. Kung magawa natin yon in connection with the factual evidence, then tama ka, Richard. Sarah will be damaged enough that she will not, even if she decides to run, hindi yan mananalo.
Ed, thanks for the intervention. Ang natalo lang si Dan Fernandez at saka si ano, 'di ba? Abante ba?
Oh, si
Ah,
Dan Fernandez, ang hirap talaga. Sol Aragones
Actually,
malakas
mahirap yung
talaga
race
eh.
niya, in fairness, you're right, yeah.
Oo talagang mabigat talaga yung Sol Aragones, tapos incumbent din, asawa ng incumbent yung kalaban niya.
yeah.
So, halos impossible talaga yung race na yon. Si Abante naman sa Manila, close race din. And of course,
Yes,
syempre,
very
yung
close.
York factor dyan, and ano dyan. So maraming factors na local na hindi not
Yep.
necessarily because of DDS or ano. Wala talagang kinalaman. Medyo hiwalay talaga siya.
Dito sa Sara impeachment and all, anong basa mo? Because, I don't know, if you're Mark Oleta is parang, he's saying baka hindi na kailangan ng trial. Sila Jinggoy, we're saying, and we're going also to BBM, no, to wrap up also this very interesting episode. Thank you, gentlemen. Kasi BBM said, bukas siya sa reconciliation. So immediately, nag-seize on yung mga Jinggoy, Ejercito, Chis Escudero, all of them say, oh, yung pala, reconciliation. Parang wag na tayo mag-trial. Basically, parang ganun na rin naging linya eh. So, para sa akin, I think the trial will happen, but you have to make sure hindi Mickey Mouse yung trial. It's a real trial.
Yung mga prosecutors naman, may tiwala naman ako na they will be able to do it. Kahit pa before pa, bago pumasok si Leila at si Chel. Lalo pa ngayon nung pumasok sila. And excited ako dun sa mga new stars that will be born doon sa prosecution team. Yung si Rog, magaling yung si Rog. Yung si Lawrence Defensor sa Iloilo. I want to see kung what he's made of. And of course, si Luis
Spencer
Tro,
family
alam
yan,
naman
yeah.
natin yung caliber ni Congresswoman Jerville. Tsaka iba pang kasama nila doon. Joel Chua. And so, I'm excited to see kung who's going to bring their A game. And of course, yung sa kabila, tapos may mga senador na natututol pa sa kanila. How will they able to navigate that? So, ako excited lang ako makita. Tingin ko naman matutuloy yan.
At
Kahit
sana hindi Mickey
manalo
Mouse,
si
no?
Sara or hindi.
Sana hindi Mickey
Mm.
Mouse. And I don't know. I
Oo.
think if Sara gets political damage, Bongo will make the move. He has the right. I mean, he got 27 million votes. He's doing very well. Message discipline, focus. I think Bongo has a strong case to make for the DDS camp that he should be their standard bearer. Last part, let's talk about BBM and then slightly also about the genuine
Yung
opposition.
opposition.
Oh,
Yun.
actually, you're right, Mark, and when I mentioned standard bearer. Okay, sige, let's start with opposition, then end on BBM na lang. Chris, do you think it was premature for Risa Ontiveros to basically say she is open to the idea or that she may have been contemplating the idea na she'll be the standard bearer? Or do you think tama yan in light of the fact na what we learned from 2022 is wag naman sana last minute? And ang hirap yung mga last minute negotiations. Nakita natin how things went. It didn't work. And then when Lenny ran, ang laki ng potential sana, 'di ba? So maybe tama rin si Rizan as early as now. Some are also saying na, I think Ronald was correctly also saying this, na mag-primaries na lang siguro para magkakaalaman. Kaso for you to have a primaries, you have to have a real political party. So can you put Bam and Kiko and I don't know, Lenny and all in the same camp and then run the primaries, assuming some of them want to do it? Kasi what if, let's say, Bam Aquino says, I'll just run independent myself. It worked perfectly for me. I got 20 million votes. I'll run again independent. Bahala kayo dyan, di ba? And then Kiko will say, wait lang. Ako, nagsakripisyo na ako. Ang tagal ko na sa Liberal Party. Baka ito na yung time ko. Number 5 naman ako against all odds, di ba? Mag-food vlog na naman ako. Baka naman makalusot, di ba? And then Rizal could say, well, I'm the one who won 2016, 2022, 100% Checky Bam, Akbayan. Maybe it should be my time, di ba? I mean, again, to be fair to all of these great people, none of them have said that sila na dapat. But I'm just saying, I think what Risa is at the very least saying is that dapat as early as now, maghanda na ang opposition, genuine opposition. Kasi may chance na sila, may opening na eh. Ikaw, Chris, and then I'll go back to Mark.
Yeah, for me, alam mo, no, I think Riza's playing it smart. She never committed either way. Sinasabi lang niya she's open to anything coming in the future. And actually, tama yung mensahe niya dito dahil alam mo, yung ginamit na weaponize against Lenny, ano, yung pagdalawang, yung parang sinabi daw niya, hindi siya tatakbo, biglang tumakbo na siya, yung mga ganun. And in this case, Riza saying, hey, anything is possible. And I think that's good because right now, what will happen is, you're putting it in the person's mind na parang, oh nga, no, what would it be like if Riza actually ran and became president? Pwede. So you're planting a seed in people's minds. That's it. That's all you do. Plant a seed. And then follow up with action. The right actions to show people na, oh, kaya ba o hindi. And let it sink into people's consciousness eventually. Yun yung magandang strategy, yung dahan-dahanin mo. Pero at the same time, dahil non-committal ka naman, at let the people decide. Makikita mo naman yan in the next 3 years kung may momentum ba to. Kung meron, edi tatakbo. Kung wala, edi hindi. 'Di ba? Ganun lang yun. And there are other possible
Correct,
candidates.
correct.
Bam did very well. He's got the Aquino last name. He's got a lot of things also going for him eh. And he's young, he's fresh. Walang
Buff
even
Bam.
Panelo.
Sabi ko, Buff Bam na siya. Hindi na siya yung
Oh,
Bam na
Buff Bam, Buff Aquino na, 'di ba? Pero and remember this ha, even Panelo. Oh, mga DDS na nakikinig ngayong gabi ha. Even Panelo said, walang bahid ng korupsyon si Bam Aquino, hindi tulad nung iba. At nung sinabi niyang iba, sinabi niya lahat. Kasama ang mga DDS na mga
Si Harry
politiko
Roque ba?
dyan.
Kasama si Harry Roque.
O kasama lahat. Yun ang punto ko dito is kahit naman si Panelo, hindi siya bulag sa katotohanan na talagang walang bahid ng korupsyon to at matinutong taong to. At sinabi nga niya na pag edukado ka at marunong ka mag-isip ng tama, iboboto mo talaga yung mga Bam Aquino. At sinabi din niya na pag
Seryoso?
bulag ka,
This is
binoboto mo ang
Panelo.
mga tulad ni Duterte.
Wait. This is Panelo?
This is Panelo.
Oh my
You didn't
God!
know about this?
Why am I agreeing with Panelo more and more these days? Sabi nga ni Panelo, pag totoong ano ka, umuwi ka na, Harry Roque.
Na,
Nawalang anak tuloy niya.
nag-apologize nga, nag-apologize kasi Panelo. Sabi niya, I'm sorry that I have to say this, pero yung pagboboto kay Duterte ay bulag na pagboboto yun. Nag-sorry pa nga siya. O, pasensya na yung mga DDS diyan. Oh, yan. Galing kay Panelo yan.
Oo nga eh. No, I agree with you. I think at the very least, sana magkaroon ng primaries at hindi sana magkanya-kanya. I said, Bama has a good point to make. Riza has a good point to make. Ang dami nagalit sa akin. Sinasabong ko daw sila. Parang, anong classic immature thinking yan? I'm talking about, di ba? Like, mag-prepare na sana opposition. I'm talking about the good candidates. Bama has a very good point to make. Kiko has a good point to make. Riza has a good point to make. Let's look at that. Bakit ganun ang tao talaga? No? Gusto nila isa lang i-endorse mo. Parang Team Lenny ka na or Team Riza ka na or whatever. Now, Mark, ikaw anong tingin mo doon sa sinabi ni Ma'am Risa? Since nag-teleport
Eksaktong-eksakto
ka.
yung sinabi ni Chris. Eksaktong-eksakto yung sinabi ni Chris doon sa na at least na open niya eh. Nagplant na nung seed. Sa akin maganda na may tatlong option yung pink side for president or vice president sa next election. Mas okay na yung marami. Kesa yung no choice tayo, isang tao lang, no choice tayo, isang ano lang. So maganda na na at least meron tayong pagpipilian, meron tayong kumbaga capable yung apat eh. Kiko, Bam, Lenny, Risa,
Exact.
capable sila as
Lahat.
VP, as president. Ang tanong na lang dito yung winnability eh. Sino ba ang who would fit na kayang manalo? Depende sa makakalaban nila sa 2028, depende sa sitwasyon ng bansa sa 2028. So it's hindi ito pagalingan na mas magaling si Lenny kaysa kay Bam or meron silang kanya-kanyang strength and weaknesses kasi minsan ganun eh.
Pero
Pag
bro,
sinabi mong
hindi ba yung lesson ng election na yan is wag mo tingnan mo yung viability. Like everyone thought Kiko and Bam are, especially Kiko, parang hopeless case. And yet, number 5 siya. Parang one lesson you can get out of this election is actually, wag mong masyadong bigyan pansin yung mga pre-election surveys because things could turn out very interesting. Or your stance is still, tignan mo ng surveys before magkakaroon ng idea.
net mixture of both din eh. Syempre titingnan mo yung survey, papakaramdaman mo din in local areas siguro. Sabay din 'yon. Ako personally nandun ako sa kampo na baka si Senator Bam ang may momentum, siya ang mas winnable for 2028. Pero alam lot could change in 3 years. Di ba? Hindi natin masabi. Nandun din ako sa kampo na I believe na sa mga pink
Lenny.
side, it would be good if
Lenny.
ha? Makikipag-tandem sa isang, for example, a Tulfo or sa isang
Crossover.
instead of kakamping sa president and vice. 'Di ba? So, mas nandun ako sa kampo na 'yon. Sa ngayon, syempre in next year, in 2 years from now, hindi natin masabi, depende sa situation, pero maganda lang na maraming options na pagpipilian. And mas maganda kung dumami pa yan, di ba? Leading up to 2028. Pero yun nga, ibabalik ko dun sa usapan natin kanina earlier din sa episode, we need to also figure out the Visayas and Mindanao situation. Paano at least makakain.
Visayas
The
looks
same
good.
way.
Visayas looks good for Pink, very
Hindi
well.
kalahati
Ganda
eh.
ng...
The non-Visayan, the Ilonggo side, the
sa
Waray
bagay,
side,
you're right. Yeah, yeah.
yun ang hati eh. Kung titignan mo yung mapa, the Visayan-speaking provinces, nandun yung hati eh. So yun yung kailangan ma-figure out. In the same way, na yung mga DDS, they're trying to figure out Luzon. Ganun din ang ginagawa nila eh. So
I mean,
dapat
they're
nakafocus
still
din.
strong in Luzon. I mean, there are a lot of also people from Mindanao and Bisaya background who are also in Luzon, right? They're the biggest ethno-linguistic group, 40+ % of our population. But Mark, I want to ask, ang worry ko kasi Mark dito is baka too many options and then magkakanya-kanya sila mamaya. That's my worry eh. Do you get what I'm saying? Eh, hindi mag-consolidate. So you're absolutely right na ang ganda, daming magandang option. Ang worry ko is magkakanya-kanya na naman mamaya. Mamaya, baka Risa will push for a joint ticket with another progressive. Next thing you know, the other guy will run independent. You know what I'm saying? You don't want the vote to be split. Kasi kung makonsolidate yung pink vote and then yung centrist vote na amenable dito sa kanila, mamaya baka may 20-30% pala sila to be competitive. Otherwise, baka mahati-hati na 10%, 10%. Hindi na sila viable. So, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be tough eh. It's gonna be tough eh. It could cut both ways.
Yun nga, pero kumbaga labas na sa natin yun eh. We just have to kumbaga syempre paano ba? Pray or hope na yung mga leaders nitong pink side will get together and agree on a single candidate.
Bro. Oh, we're just discussing this, bro. Obviously, wala sa kamay natin, but sabi nga ni Kristan, we have to shape the narrative like Duterte troll farms.
Yun nga. Pero ako sasabihin ko din kapag three-way race ang 2028, Sara, Pink, tapos isa pang medyo malakas, that would only benefit Sara. Kasi kumbaga solid na yung sa kanya eh. Mahahati yung anti-Duterte na vote. So, that's another thing na kailangan ma-keep in mind din ng mga decision makers na heading to 2028.
Tulfo lang gusto mo eh. Chris, let's go to... I'm just kidding. Chris, let's go to the last part. Let's talk about our president. Kasi ito na naman tayo huling... Okay, what is your read of him saying open siya sa reconciliation and then itong cabinet revamp? Kasi ang read ko is, my fear is the president may be overcorrecting. I don't think it was a full rejection of his brand of politics. Talagang malas lang siya kasi unity team yan eh. Tapos, syempre, na-ICC yung isa. Talagang hahati talaga yan, no? So, kumbaga, I don't think it was a full rejection of his approach to things. I think he has been very statesmanlike. I think he has done great on foreign policy. Of course, he can improve significantly on the domestic front. But the cabinet revamp is not touching the core technocrats anyway. So I don't think how is that improving his case? Yung mga ka-DDS natin na mga holdovers, nandun pa rin yata, is Solicitor General a cabinet member. Like, anyway, you get what I'm saying? Like, what is your read of that whole Katoning podcast episode? And I was very critical initially kasi I felt that would have been a good chance for President BBM to say, yes, we underperformed, pero, we still did well against all. I learned my lesson, we can do better. Pero parang, did he need to say reconciliation? Did he need to say na at hindi naman totoo na ang tao got issue lang mahalaga sa kanila eh. The fact na ang taas ng performance ni Bato means that people cared about the ICC issue. Marcoleta, di ba? Although, sabi ni Marcoleta sa electricity daw, tutulungan tayo. But, you get what I'm saying? Like, I just felt he was a bit overcorrective and over self-critical, if I can put it that way, dun sa kanyang podcast episode. And I'm hoping in the future, I won't be surprised. Baka he'll sit down and podcast with you and me also at some point. I don't know, and other people. I suggested, sana he'll also do it with legit journalists and all. Para maganda naman yung discussion, di ba? I hope it will come out later on. But ikaw, bro, what is your take on this?
To begin with, Richard, kitang-kita naman that obviously kailangan pakita yung mga tanong kay BBM bago siya mag-agree to go into any kind of a podcast. So it's pretty obvious the way it was done na those questions were prepared beforehand and understandable kasi as president, siguro natatakot na baka ma-blindside siya, mabigla, hindi makasagot ng tama. Pero having said that, yun ang problema talaga kay BBM sometimes as he comes across weak. But at the same time that I say that, remember that nung tinanong siya kanya before he became president, kung sino ba yung mga iniidolo niya at ang parang what kind of parang philosophy does he have in life, and he talked about Machiavelli and how he has a Machiavellian perspective. And pag dinignan mo yung Machiavellian Art of War, yung mga ganyang style niya, no, uh, it's double speak. Sometimes he says something and then something else happens or is done. And but at the same time, when I watched it myself, nakita ko naman yung kanyang authenticity ng mga sinasabi niya. I agree with you though na he could have said it better, yes. But that's his personality. That's how he is. With regards to the revamp
Cabinet.
naman, I think that's just a loyalty check more than anything. Tapos, that also gives him a free hand to get rid of people without making it a personal issue and without singling anyone out. Again, it's a nice way of, instead of saying, I need to fire you, well, all of you are out and okay, I'll retain these people. Ganun lang. So, walang nasisingle out, walang nagmumukhang masama, walang napapahiya. And like everyone keeps saying about the people that work with BBM, na napakadesente at bait niyang tao. I'm starting to believe that. Okay? It doesn't mean I think he's a good leader. I'm just saying starting to believe na mahinahon nga siya sobra and a little bit too meek nga for this. But at the same time, if he was really too meek and if you look at his actions versus his words,
Baloy,
man,
Digong.
the ICC,
Yeah.
the charges against the Dutertes, those do not come without
He
some
delivered.
sort
Yeah, and
oo,
standing up to
of
China. And standing up
oh
to
yeah, the
he
ICC
delivered.
thing, you need the president to be a part of it to make that happen, to coordinate all the agencies to make it happen. So, but maybe that whole thing that BBM is doing is act weak when you are actually strong, and when you're weak, then you have to act strong. And then this is what exactly he's doing. So maybe he's a lot smarter than we think. Because tignan mo, talaga. And I believe, and Mark, siguro tingnan mo kung ano tingin mo dito, pero ako naniniwala ako, in the next 3 years, if Sara Duterte gets charged and is convicted guilty of plunder and of grave threats and sedition, and yung si Pulong Duterte for yung mga ginagawa niyang kalokohan, makulong din siya. Makulong si Pulong. I like how that sounds. And makita natin talaga that the Dutertes are eliminated. Thank God. Then makikita mo kung dito mo malalaman kung Marcos is a strong leader or is he as weak as he portrays himself to be.
I mean, in fairness, Chris, many people share your point of view, which is interesting, right? Kasi I did a poll on Twitter and a lot of our followers are probably more pink or loyalist than DDS. But halos lahat sinabi nila, only time will tell. Sabi ko, anong tingin nyo sa latest move ni BBM? Does it project strength, weakness? It looks like many people are wait and see. Parang, you never know with BBM, right? You never know. Ako actually, the one I'm watching out for is not a cabinet position. It's whether General Torre will be the next PNP chief. Because I'll be honest, if he's not selected as the next PNP chief, medyo tataas ang kilay natin dyan. Parang, wait, what? Because General Torre was the man of the moment, right? If you think about every major development, right, Mark? You think it's
Yeah,
important?
at
General Torre
kailangan ni
yeah,
PBBM. Kasi doon siya perceived na weak
exactly.
pagdating sa peace and order. And may nagagawa naman kasi sa peace and order, di ba? Like yung sa kidnap case, na-solve naman nila. Kaso merong yung perception ng tao, and maybe itong si Torre is the right person to do that. You need someone na in your face, nasa balita parate. So, baka yun eh. That would make the most sense. Pero syempre may mga issue dahil PNPA and all that, maraming mga ibang
Pero nga
mga
sana, 'di ba? First time, maraming
oh,
inggit sa kanya. No, no, I'll just call it out. Ang daming inggit sa kanya because he's a star, right? Everyone and then of course, yung dahil dun sa hearings ni Amy Marcos, 'di ba? Baka gamitin laban sa kanya. But for me, honestly, if he's not the next PNP chief, honestly, I will really ang daming maiinis. I'm not speaking for myself alone, right?
agree.
Ang daming maiinis. Parang
Kasi kami, kasi
after
kaming mga vloggers din.
Para ang dami niyang supporters around the country. Grabe. That guy is really special. So God willing, he will get what he deserves after everything he went through. I cannot close this podcast without asking you, Harry, Mark, without asking you, kamusta na kalagayan ni Harry Roque? Work from Hague pa rin ba? At parang walang update kay Mr. Supranational. Ang dami nagtatanong sa akin, Sir, ba't wala kayong episode kay De La Serna? And by the way, ito loko talaga kung sinong gumawa nun. Nakita niyo ba yung headlines, Chris? Nakalagay. Harry Roque's Little Bird in DOJ, parang something like that. Meron daw siyang deep penetration agent.
All the double entendres are just amusing more than anything. And
Just say
and
mole. Why should you say deep penetration agent sa loob ng DOJ at saka Little Bird? I mean,
the little
Mark,
bird.
Mark, bakit ganon? Pero ako, I believe that, Kaya sumapply di ba, confident siya, walang ICC warrant of arrest. Because I think he had a mole and then palpak pala yung mole niya, or all we know, double agent pala yung mole niya. But ikaw, Mark, you know him better. Kamusta
Siya na
buhay?
yung next. Siya na yung next na, diba, yung passport cancellation and um, kung akala natin tapos na, hindi pa. For si Harry Roque, siya yung next. Yung may mga Interpol red notice ako nababasa ng mga ganon. So the doors are starting to close in. Kumbaga, the walls are starting to close in kay Tatay Harry. At syempre yung ICC, wag din natin kalimutan, hindi pa tapos 'yon. We have to see then how BBM will handle kapag yung mga lesser na tao na yung kasama doon sa ICC, mga lieutenants na tao na ni
Lesser na
Digong.
tao, is that Bato de la Rosa?
Ayun, yung mga next So ayun nga. So mukhang yung reconciliation, baka reconciliation with Bongo. Baka si Bongo lang pwedeng maka-reconcile. Pero yung iba,
That would be the ultimate Machiavellian movie because they deal directly with Bongo and then box out the rest.
back
Pare,
everyone
I would
else.
that would be Machiavelli 100 points, pare.
Hindi ko alam. So yun lang.
Ikaw, Chris, may update ka kay De La Serna or like magpa-protest ka ba kung hindi maging PNP chief si Torre? Ano yung mga last words natin dyan?
Alam mo sa akin, with regards to Harry Roque, first of all, nakakagulat nga talaga yung revelasyon na meron siya 3 passport. To be able to get one, man, I only have one Philippine passport and we should only have one. And for some reason, may 3 siya. At nakikita mo dito talaga, the typical Tatak Duterte ay a lot of fabricated, fraudulent documents, a lot of fake identities, and yun yung mga ganyang mga lakaran talaga very typical. Number one. Number two, I wanted to make this as a last point, that 2028 is going to be a very different election and it's going to be similar to what 2025 is. And this is where we're going. Ngayon, ito yon. The youth vote is going to be more significant pa in 2028 than it is in 2025. Kung sino ang makaka-capture ng mga utak ng ating mga kabataan, yan ang mananalo. Kaya ito ang labanan para sa pag-iisip ng mga taong bayan at pag-iisip ng ating mga kabataan. Kaya kailangan talaga ang labanan sa mga eskwelahan ngayon. Dahil pagdating ng 2028, may mga bagong botante na naman yan at maraming mawawala sa mga bumuboto na mas matanda. Yung mga bagong pumasok, yan ang magdidikta kung sino mananalo. Kaya dapat talaga yan ang tutukan natin at suportahan natin yung mga pagkakalat ng tamang impormasyon sa ating mga kabataan because that is going to be where this next election in 2028 will be decided.
Absolutely. I agree definitely on the Gen Z millennial vote that probably made the big difference. Again, I say probably because walang exit poll. That's really the only scientific way to break this down. At the same time, bro, I will also say that we should make sure we don't learn the wrong lessons from these elections. Kasi dito, si Bam and Kiko nakalusot by basically riding the Duterte wave against the administration, right? But come 2028, that's not gonna work anymore because ang kalaban mo will be the Duterte side na, most likely. Kasi wala na si BBM eh. Wala na siyang anointed successor na at least competitive last time I checked, right? So BBM will have to decide, is he gonna support a pink candidate? Is he gonna support Tulfo? Is he gonna push for his cousin to run? What is he gonna do about it? Sandro is not in a position to run for the president or anyone else. I don't think he'll support Amy Marcos for the president, but you never know. On that note, thank you so much, gentlemen, for that fantastic discussion. Bakit hindi nyo pinatulan yung deep penetration agent at Little Bird? But maybe that will be our next episode, Chris. Pag-usapan natin yan. Thank you so
Ah,
much, brother. Looking good, looking great. Mabuhay ka. And thank you for the courage and patriotism you have shown to the country. And I'm sure, brother, no matter what you do, you're going to be successful. And who knows, 2028, bukas pa rin. I'm sure you have interesting plans also ahead. Pag-usapan natin in our next episodes. God willing, in person naman tayo mag-meet. Talk to you soon, brother.
okay, see you later, guys. Thank you so
Salamat,
much for everyone
ingat.
watching.
Salamat.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.